We're ready. Hey guys, welcome back to Hilltop in the Valley. This is where we seek to nurture and nourish the family and the home, even in the dead of winter, which is what it is here right now. Thank you for joining me, and I have a special video for you today because this is one of my favorite recipes of all time. If you are not familiar with my Einkorn chocolate chip cookie recipe, then go check that one out because we are going to do it once again today. It was one of my very first videos a few years back when I had started this channel, and when I say it was one of my first videos, it was one of my first videos. Like, I really did not know what I was doing, and I was just playing around and thought I'd do it. It ended up being a very popular recipe because other people found that it was great too. Since then, I have updated it a little bit as I have learned more about the einkorn flour. And today I am going to do this recipe with whole wheat flour. If you haven't seen the recipe yet, go to hilltopinthevalley.com and you can get the whole recipe there. Know that with the whole wheat flour, you're going to be using a little bit more flour than you usually would. This has to do with the chemistry of the flour and how it works. This is because of the amount of bran in it and the way that it absorbs the moisture that you are mixing into it. And the same thing is with bread, if you're using it with bread or just about any baked goods. Now, I have a free chart on what is good with whole wheat einkorn flour versus what is good with all-purpose einkorn flour, and you can grab that. I'll put it in the box below. If you have not gotten my free einkorn recipe cards, then also check that out in the box below. There's some free ones that you can get sent to your inbox. Now, I like to really whip up this batter. This, I believe, is one of the reasons why this cookie works so well, is because of getting the air whipped into the batter. You can do this with a KitchenAid mixer. If you have a KitchenAid, that is really helpful to just run that nice and hard for a while. Or if you like to get a little exercise, you can whip it with your arm. But I do like to use a whisk just because it does help to get the air into that batter, and that's what you want. I want to go over a few tips. I have 5 tips today to help you guys get these cookies to be that nice chewy cookie with kind of a little crispy edge on it. The first 2 I'm going to go over now, and then the next ones I will go over a little bit later in the video. So first of all, if you're starting out and you're making your own flour, it's great flour, but at the same time, make sure that if you're doing that, you are going to let that flour rest for a while, like 2 hours, if you're freshly grinding it before you're using it in a recipe. Is because when you grind flour, there are little air pockets that are made. You might notice when the flour is coming out, it's very light and fluffy, and that's because a lot of air gets pushed in there also. And so we want to let it sit for a while and let the weight kind of fall and sit down on itself to push some of those air pockets out. Another great idea is to tap your cup measure before you actually use your flour to make sure that the flour is going down into all those air pockets. If you're using grams, using weight to measure, then you don't have to worry about this as much. But if you're using cups, as I'm doing, you'll want to make sure you wait for a while, as well as doing the tapping with your cup measures. And the second thing is to make sure that you're using the ingredients that I'm putting in this recipe. Please don't try and substitute a sugar with like a liquid sweetener, or don't try and half the sugar because you want this to be more of a low sugar cookie. Sugar will actually add to the texture of the cookie, and so the measurement for sugar will make a difference if it is not the same. Things in this cookie are there for a purpose. It's all a science, really, and so just think of that when you're trying to add or subtract ingredients. You can also comment and ask either on my blog or on the channel if I've done it before. Know that the ingredients are set there for a purpose, so don't try and switch them around too much. After you have mixed in all of your wet ingredients, I go ahead and do the dry ingredients. If you are wanting to do this perfectly, which I'm not always a perfectionist with my baking, but if you want to do this perfectly, use a separate bowl for your dry ingredients and then sift them into the wet ingredients as you are mixing it up, just to make sure that you don't get any clumping. All right, number 3 for the tips is to make sure that after you have made your dough, you let it sit for about 10 to 15 minutes. This is because with einkorn, especially with this whole grain einkorn, you want to make sure all of the moisture is sucked in, all the hydration is has time to make it into the grain. When you are first mixing up this dough, you'll notice that it will look extremely dry and really thick. Once you let it sit for a while, it'll look a little bit, not like a lot, but a little bit stickier, a little bit more pliable than it did at first when you were first trying to mix in the flours. So that is something else with using the whole wheat einkorn that you'll notice a thickness. I notice a little bit different than when I use the all-purpose einkorn flour. So make sure you wait before you put that onto the pans and cook it. You can even pop it into the fridge for about 15 minutes before you do that. All right, number four is to make sure that you do not cook it too hot. I actually have my oven set a little bit lower than the all-purpose flour cookies, and my oven right now is at 350. This one seems to work out great. I use this temperature, 350 degrees Fahrenheit, so use this temperature. And then lastly, my last tip for you is to make sure you don't cook them too long. In fact, you're going to take them out before they look done. So the trick here, this is how I get my cookies to be a little bit crispy on the outside and soft on the inside. I'm going to take them out when the outside is done, when the middle is puffed up, but still looks like it's not quite browned yet. And I will take them out, I'll let them sit for about a minute, and then I will pull them off using the parchment paper and let them sit on a cooling rack for another 10 minutes or so. That is one reason why this parchment paper is so great, because you can just pull the cookies from here to there. When they are on that cookie sheet, you can just use the whole parchment paper and you don't have to worry about the cookies breaking apart even if they're still really hot. So I like it for that reason. But that's how I get my cookies to be softer in the middle and a little bit crunchy on the outside, is to take them out before they are completely cooked. This is a trick I learned over time. So I hope you guys are ready to go make some chocolate chip cookies after this. These ones are for a book sale that I am going to, and I asked the lady, what can I bring for this? And she goes, cookies. And I was like, oh great, because we are off of sugar for the weekdays, and then we don't do sugar until weekends at this point, which, by the way, it is very helpful after coming off of all of those holiday goodies to just try and get your guts revamped and balance them out a little bit. And it does help us to look forward to the weekends as well. So I said, oh, that's great, because my husband was just telling me that he had been wanting chocolate chip cookies. So here we go. I'm back here and I'm making chocolate chip cookies, and that's where these are going to go. I'm sure we will have a few extras to munch on ourselves, which is great because this is what we have been craving lately. I know there are a lot of people who are getting into the einkorn baking world and they are looking for recipes. So would you pass this on and let them know that it is here for them? If you have not subscribed to the channel, would you click that subscribe button and check out some of our other recipes. The Einkorn Farmhouse biscuit recipe has been a great one. It's easy, simple, and it tastes oh so great, especially for this time of year. Enjoy your February weather, and I will talk to you again soon. Thanks for hanging out. Bye-bye.